Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tim Langdon, One Man Worship Band here. I'm going to show you something that this is going to kind of build on what we've been talking about with chord families and creating flow. One of the most difficult things as a new worship leader to do is to create flow. And again, this is not some super spiritual principle. Like, some people believe if the pads aren't running, the spirit can't move, and all that's ridiculous. All the music is doing is setting an atmosphere for people to not be distracted by anything else. When we don't know what we're doing as worship leaders, and when we make clashes, and when we don't make good choices as far as the sounds that we make, we can become more of a distraction than we ever could be a help. And something I tell my kids all the time: help, don't hinder. So that's what we want to try to do. So a lot of times when we set up, I've been to churches where, the worship leader runs in the church on Sunday morning and flips through a notebook and grabs out 3 songs, and that's just what you're going to do. As a worship leader, I would never do that. Many times with the church, I already have prepared the worship set for the next Sunday by the following, Monday or Tuesday. And of course, it's always subject to change. And if the Lord leads me to put in a song, I'm a big believer. Some people think that God just, has particular songs that he likes and, whatever. But I just think that what we need to do is we need to be able to, without distraction, be able to keep people engaged and focused on the thing that we are there to worship, and that's God. We're not there to worship a musician, but we're not there to be distracted by poor musicians. And again, I can remember back to the first times I would lead worship back in a fellowship hall at a church where we could only do it every other week, and the pastor was always admonishing us to not be too loud, and we just did the best we could with what we had, and we tried our best to keep things flowing, to keep things from ever becoming distractionary to what was going on. So I want to show you something that can help you create flow. Okay. What I always do, most of the time, what I always try to do is I try to stick with a chord family or a chord progression that makes sense and sounds good together. Like, if the first song we were going to sing was in the key of G, got a couple of different things I could do. I could go to the key of C, and since C is the fourth of the G, then it wouldn't sound too harsh. Or if I wanted to go to D, which is the 5th, that's where that thumb comes in, the 5th of G, then we're okay as well. All right. But if we go from G to an E flat, you can do it. You're just going to need to stop all the music and then start new music, which I've done before on numerous occasions. It just depends on how the song works and, who's there and all that other kind of stuff. So what I always try to do is, sometimes, especially the less musicians I have, the more I like to just stick with a chord for the entire thing. Like, I'll do the whole thing in the key of A, because if my keyboard player isn't there playing pads, then I can just go back to the keyboard and flip a little switch on the foot pedal, which instead of, pushing it to sustain, it's up and it sustains, and just pressing the A and the E, the A and the E, the 1 and the 5, and it just plays. And then my entire worship set, I'll capo here on the 2nd fret, and my entire worship set will be in A. That way I can go from one song to the next song, and when I'm ending this song, I could go let that roll and see that. And if you got the pad, and I'll show you what that sounds like. So I'm using my AutoPad app on my phone. So just going to turn it on. There's my A pad. So I'm just going to go. So let's just imagine we just came out of a song. And then we would go, what can wash away my sins? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. So what we would do is we would just kind of keep that flow going the whole time. And then if we wanted to change it, go up to G. Now listen to what this is going to sound like. So that naturally flowed from the A to the G. And then I could go, and nobody would really ever notice that. That wouldn't be something that's distractionary. But let me show you what happens. Let's say we're going from G, and then the next song is in D sharp or E flat. Listen to how this sounds. Right now this is G. Now I'm going to hit, and it's going to flow into it, and you hear the difference. Now again, when it flows like that, it's not horrible, but that's a pretty awkward transition, and unnecessary unless you really need that song to be like that. So the other thing you can do, and what I really wanted to show you is, let's go to the key of G, and let's imagine you're singing a song in the key of G. And in most praise and worship music, when a song is going to end, it is going to end on the 1, and it's called resolving. So and everybody's ear is going to know that the song is over. Okay? Well, let's just imagine you're at the end of a set, you're at the end of a song, and you're singing, let's just do Amazing Grace, because I think it's public domain. I hope I don't get in any trouble with copyright people, but instead of coming and resolving it on the 1, what you could do is you could hang out on the 4, which is a C, and then you could end the song multiple times without ever distracting. So I'm going to turn on the pads in the key of G. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Now that, when we just came to the end, well, let's just imagine you wanted to sing blind, but now I see again. So what would you have to do? So here's how you could do that. By, instead of going to the 1, you go to the 4. And when you go to the 4, it doesn't resolve, and so people are waiting to hear more. And then blind, but now I see. Now that's ending on the 1, so it naturally sounds like it's over. But listen to this. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I'm blind, but now I see. Oh, was blind, but now I see. And what you've done is you've created some flow on the end of your song where you're not resolving. The thing about it is, if you teach your group, you teach your band, you teach the team, whoever you got, that's what you're going to do at the end of the song. You're going to just go to that 4 and you're going to hang out. And the thing about it is, it doesn't matter which key you're in. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're on that 4, you can resolve. So let's be in the key of D. So the 4 in the key of D is G. So there's A, G, and D. But if I wanted to keep going, I could just kind of keep that open for a while, and you could just do, going to that B minor, back to the A, back to the G, and listen what it's going to sound like. It's going to resolve, and to D. So you want to be able to create flow by understanding how these chord families work. And that's something you're really going to have to work on. It's going to take some time to master it. It's going to take some time for you to understand it. But what you have to be careful of is, because most people, when they come to church, man, they got ADHD. They can't pay attention to anything. We all get distracted fairly easy. And you know, growing up in church for me, there were people who absolutely could not sing. But they would get on stage and do it anyway. And I can't look at them. I just can't. I can't. And I know what people say. I know, well, they're doing it for the Lord. Well, that's fantastic. You know, find something you can do for the Lord. But if you can't sing, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And that's not discriminatory. It's just you shouldn't. When I decided a couple years ago I wanted to do a half marathon, I did a lot of training. And I found out one thing. I'm not a runner. And I'm okay with that. Me and running, we just didn't get along. Running did bad things to my knees and to my feet. We just didn't get along. So is anybody trying to stop me from being a runner? No, I just ain't very good at it. So I just don't do it. So I purely surely wish some people would learn that. If you can't sing, then don't. It's cool. There's plenty of gifts. The Bible tells us that the body has got all kinds of different parts. And the ear can't be jealous of the eye, or the nose of the toes, or the eyeballs of the eyebrows. And we all working together to do one thing, and that's to worship God and to bring the gospel to the world. We are not here because I got to be on stage because I think I'll need to sing, even though I lack the ability to do so. Oh, can't stand it. So anyway, that's what you want to start working on. You want to look at these chord families. You want to look at the ones, the fours, and the fives. 1, 4, 5. You'll learn that all. 1, 4, 5. And those 1, 4, 5 chords are going to help you get through a lot of different songs. And when you come to the end of a song, if you want to not resolve, if you don't want to end the song, then you can just simply hold on the 4 and just go back and repeat the last lines or do whatever until you're ready to resolve it. And not only that, that gives you room to improvise, to minister, to to speak something over the congregation if you've got it on your heart. You know, you're going, and it just leaves room. You're not in a rush. And you can change up the chords if you want to. See, as long as you don't resolve it, you're good. You can just keep going. Resolve. And that's what you want to get to eventually. Some songs don't end like that, of course, but a great majority of them do. So you want to make sure that you don't hinder the service. Don't hinder the service by having a bunch of crazy transitions from a bunch of disparate keys that don't sound good together. And please, for the love of all that is good and holy, please pick out your songs before you get to church on Sunday morning. Do not run into the sanctuary at 9 o'clock when everybody's supposed to get there at 9:15 and run through flipping through some books. You ain't discerning nothing. Matter of fact, you're not even managing your time well. You're not honoring the job that you've been given to do at all. You're treating it with disrespect. If you did your job like you do your worship leading, if that's what you do, you would get fired. But since you're volunteer, your pastor can't fire you. Some of them will, but I'm saying he can't fire you. But man, please give the Lord more than just some last minute attention on Sunday morning. Anyway, Y'all be blessed, and I appreciate y'all. If you like the channel, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll have some more content up coming up shortly. Thanks.